In the year 2140, women have risen to prominence and gained social authority. This has enabled them to propel mankind forward rapidly via the development of discipline, peace, and advanced technology. They have established a colony in the countryside rather than a city, and an AI housekeeper looks after all the household duties, including cooking, manufacturing new clothes for the owners, and monitoring their health. There isn't any violence, and even small infractions like putting the wrong can in the trash receive a fee. All of this has led to an average life expectancy of 150 years. Social points are their unit of account. One gains them by being obedient and loses them by misbehaving. Hug breaks are also taken for this purpose. Radha, the history teacher, describes to the students how things were back when males ruled society. All they brought with them was hatred and violence, which led to conflicts and environmental degradation. Then, in 2030, amid a confrontation between North Korea and the United States, some scientists created a virus that would kill every US military man. But the virus swiftly spread to the rest of the planet, killing 99% of the world's male population. At that point, women took over and undid all the harm that males had caused, improving conditions for everyone on Earth. Male newborns are exceedingly rare these days, and the ones who are born are sent to live in the slums. Males are perceived as apes because they are thought to be unclean, intelligent, and only concerned in sexual activity and aggression. Radha takes the girls on a field trip, and Mila is fascinated by the impoverished areas. The impoverished areas are actually ancient cities with extremely outdated technology and limited access to basic essentials. Jara is a man who lives in these slums and is yearning to have sex with a woman. Baron, the slum's chief, is another. His goal is to lead a rebellion against women, and he frequently delivers speeches to rally the other males behind him. When Radha and her class arrive and interrupt today's speech, the men become irate because they feel like they're being treated like animals. As a joke, one of them pulls down his trousers, but a female takes it as a greeting and lifts her skirt in return. When Radha sends the girls back to the bus because the males are getting aroused, he discovers Mila is gone. Radha races to find Mila and discovers her marveling at a duck since, because animals are prohibited in the colony, she has never seen one before. They are startled by Jara killing the animal, and she quickly conceals them when a guy hears their screams. After the guy leaves, Jara panics, sounds her emergency whistle, and kisses Radha. Jara's head hurts from the loudness, but it also lets the guys know where they are, so they soon locate them. They are brought to meet Baron, who has decided to hold a tournament in which the victor gets to slap ladies. Jara enters the tournament out of a desire to defend them and becomes anxious when he discovers his opponent is enormous. The man instantly responds with a smack of his own after Jara's feeble slap. Fortunately, he moves slowly, so Jara easily avoids him and knocks out Baron in the process. Radha and Mila escape back to their bus, which has a force barrier preventing the males from getting to them, while everyone is preoccupied. Because Baron's men intend to punish him, Jara flees as well, following the girls as they board the bus. Later on, as a bus comes by the shantytown to pick up some batteries, Jara emerges from behind the battery barrels. He meets Yuli, the bus owner, who is a seed keeper, or one of the very few well-to-do males who are permitted to get pregnant by women. When they get to the colony, Yuli offers to let Jara out because the bus is operating on autopilot and cannot stop. Yuli drinks a lot of Jara's moonshine as they are conversing, becoming so inebriated that he jumps out of the bus and into the forest. Jara dresses himself as a new seed keeper and dons Yuli's extra uniform, all the while desperate to get away from Baron's soldiers. Soon after arriving to the settlement Two Hills, Jara finds an invisible barrier that lets him pass through. After being given a tour of the area by a woman, Jara is taken aback by the sheer number of females who are happy to meet him. On live television that evening, Jara chews the holy apple and swears to have intelligent and healthy children. He's brought to the reproduction chamber since he wants to start working right away, and there he encounters a woman he doesn't find attractive at all. When the Laya pipe suddenly attaches itself to his crotch and begins milking him, he becomes even more disappointed. He thinks about Radha to divert himself, and while playing with a toy, Radha thinks about him too. The following day, Jara is brought to the reproduction facility, where stunning ladies tend to the seed keepers. Jara is content to be pampered all day with delicious meals and massages, but he becomes stiff from the attention. In an attempt to find comfort in his hand, he dashes to the restroom, setting off an alarm. It finds out that the colony forbids both sexual relations and self-relief. Mila informed the police about what transpired during the class trip, therefore Radha and her family are currently in the local court system as they investigate whether or not Mila and Radha are guilty. Iya, Radha's closest friend, promises her that no one can find out about the kiss, but Radha is anxious and tells her about it. When Rada's mother Vera tries to put the blame on her, Rada responds by claiming that they went to the slums at Mila's request and provides evidence in the form of a recording from her AI. Ia interrupts to tell everyone about the kiss just when it looks like Rada might prevail. The women are all appalled, and Ia receives 20 social points while Rada must perform 80 hours of community service as punishment. Returning to Yuli, he travels to the shantytowns and seeks assistance from Jera's grandpa, who advises him to remain anonymous. Following Yuli's introduction to Baron, the latter fractures his finger and realizes right away that Yuli is hiding something. In addition, Baron requests his pants, which he removes to the amazement of everybody who sees how manly he is. Baron is currently the second biggest man in the region. One of the few ladies in the slums approaches Yuli later after obtaining a haircut and offers to cure his finger. The monster surprises everyone by throwing an incredible slap to knock Yuli down as the entire community gathers to witness. However, he gets back up swiftly. The behemoth is then knocked unconscious as Yuli smacks him back with startling force. He now gets to have wicked fun with the giant spouse. The seed keepers in the colony are taken for a stroll after being informed of all the regulations they need to go by, such as needing to get permission before farting and entering a capsule to do so. They finally arrive at a statue of Greta Thunberg, who is revered as a goddess in this place. As everyone is preoccupied with prayer, Jera grows weary of the regulations and persuades a few guys to go out and enjoy themselves. They dash to the neighboring sea to catch fish since it is easily accessible. The others then observe that Jera is in violation of both prohibitions since his legs aren't shaven and he is carrying a lighter. Rather than questioning his identification, they are impressed and believe it to be a component of Jera's rebellious nature. The gang enjoys themselves greatly in the water and builds a fire to cook their fish, but the smoke sets off a fire alarm. They are told that their punishment upon their return to the center will be a re-education tour of the Museum of Patriarchy. Later, as Jera tries to mix a cocktail, the self-pleasure alert goes off due to her gestures. He then tries with his other hand, but nothing happens, proving that the device they are made to wear is what is capable of reading their actions. The males may now use their own hands to become dirty in privacy. The following day, while receiving a massage, Jera unexpectedly learns that Rada, who was put here as a punishment, is his caregiver. Startled, Jera acts as though he has injured his ankle and is carried out right away. Afterwards, Jera's rebel group is brought to the Museum of Patriarchy, where they see a number of lectures teaching him the new ways of doing things, such as how women are the better race, how males should govern, and how having sex is repulsive. From a distance, Rada and her grandma Zoya see the lads being brainwashed, giggling at how awkward Jera is. When the lads go back to the reproduction base, Jera tells the others that what they thought they saw was fake and that it's okay to experience desires. Before things get out of hand, Jera intervenes and sends the man away because one of the guys becomes too enthusiastic by the notion and begs Rada to undress. Though appreciative, Rada still threatens to expose Jera's cover if he doesn't leave the city. Yuli has gained a lot of popularity in the slums. Baron commands his right-hand man Krissa and a number of his men to assassinate Yuli because he believes he is losing control. Yuli is invited by the gang to accompany them on their supply search, which is intended to be a trap, but Yuli makes an impression on everyone by doing a fantastic job at her work and finding heaps of food. Even though Krissa tries to fight him, his blows are ineffective. The Squirrels, a rival gang, finds them unexpectedly, but Yuli quickly scares them all away. Even more amazed, Krissa and the other guys choose not to murder him. In the meantime, it comes to light that Baron and Vera are secretly having an affair through which Vera gets knowledge of what goes on in the slums. Following a passionate evening, she chooses to peruse the profiles of the most recent seed keepers and discovers that a primate has taken the place of the actual Yuli. Action is to sound a warning alert across the colony, forcing the scared Jera to flee. But as soon as he gets to the borders, an unseen barrier stops him, forcing him to hide. Jera catches Rada as he's sneaking about, and she offers her assistance in return for all the times he saved her. When police began to show up in the vicinity, Rada attempted to flee with Jera, but Ia saw them. When Baron finds Yuli still alive in the slums, he demands an explanation from his troops. Yuli responds that the slums also deserve a democracy when Krissa notes that he has saved lives and that is why they want him to stay in the area. When Baron refuses to cede control, Yuli rallies the villagers around his window and incites a disturbance, insisting that things be done correctly. Vera advises Baron to enforce his rules on the audience when he seeks for help since he feels nervous. Ultimately, Baron consents to hold an election so that the populace can select a new leader. Following Yuli's departure, Baron invites Krissa to run for office as well in the hopes of causing Yuli to lose by distributing the votes among his own men. That evening, Baron uses the restroom to urinate in order to skew the results of the vote that each resident casts. In the end, His ploy backfires because Crysta receives 18 votes, while he only receives his own. Due to the widespread mistrust of outsiders among males, Yuli only received 16. Crysta consents to be Baron's puppet in private. Coming full circle, Rada and Jera wind up sheltering at Zoya's house. Zoya conceals Vera and her assistant in the closet with her illegal pet when Vera's assistant comes to check the residence. The cat sneezes and bursts their cover as Vera's helper begins scouring the house. Zoya strikes the assistant in the head to knock her unconscious before they can be taken into custody. Then, as only items traveling at speeds of more than 80 km per hour may pass through the invisible barrier, Zoya pulls out her old bike and instructs Jera to use it to do so. When Rada's mother Elena sees them being unfaithful, Zoya throws her on the ground, allowing the two to get away. The two mount the bike and go as quickly as they can to the boundaries, which fortunately works and lets them pass over the barrier. Luckily, they carried spares because the collision ruins both the bike and their clothes. They build a fire after that and spend the night in the wilderness. The following morning, when Jera catches a squirrel for breakfast, Rada, who has always been a vegetarian, yells in dismay at seeing an animal that has been roasted. This draws the notice of some nearby men, who pursue them right away. Rada and Jera are forced to flee as the men shoot arrows at them. Sadly, Rada slips over a fallen tree, breaking her leg, which gives the guys the opportunity to apprehend them. After being brought to the slums, Baron tries to approach Rada too closely, but Jera stops him. Since males are now expected to be democratic, Crysta plans to host a slap competition, with the winner receiving Rada. This gives other guys an opportunity to be with Rada too. Later on, Yuli goes to see Rada in an attempt to persuade her that the slums are wonderful. But, Rada discloses all of their benefits in Two Hills and ends up hugging Yuli to change her opinion. After everyone goes to bed, they make the decision to flee together. Outside, Crysta forces the people to vote on a new constitution, reading just the interesting sections aloud and keeping the clause stating that Baron will take over as leader in 2 weeks a secret. Without knowing the facts, everyone votes in favor of it because they are delighted. Yuli meets Rada in the middle of the night, and together they wait for everyone to go to sleep. He offers her a drink, which causes her to feel lightheaded right away. He then attempts to take advantage of her by saying he doesn't really want to go. When Jera gets there, he discovers that Yuli is weeping and that Rada kicked him in the crotch to get away. Yuli goes to meet Baron and Crysta and declares that he will now be the new leader while Jera rushes to get Rada. Jera searches for a long time before finding Rada sitting by the woodland fire. He then politely approaches her and tells her he won't do anything to her if she doesn't want to. After that, he gives Rada some fried chicken, and she's amazed at how delicious it is. Rada agrees to have sex with Jera after having an epiphany that if eating meat is so delicious, then having sex must be much better. Elena and two guards intercept them just as they are about to begin, and they are quickly taken into custody. When they get at Two Hills, Elena begs Vera to pardon Rada and promises to turn Jera in so that Vera may publicly chastise him. Vera concurs, believing this will help her political future. Following that, the council convenes and agrees to have Jera put to death. Jera wakes up later, tethered to a chair. After receiving a special injection from the women, Jera asks to say goodbye to Rada when they ask for his final desire. Rada is moved by these remarks and rushes to give him a kiss. Sadly, this is really a vision he is seeing while being held in a cell with extremely sophisticated equipment monitoring his thoughts. His delusions are shown on TV, complete with advertisements, so that everyone may see what horrible men can be. Ia visits Rada in the interim and shares with her Jera's vision of their kiss, which prompts Rada to approach the other seed keepers and persuade them to assist her in rescuing Jera. They all go up at the council headquarters soon after to demand Jera's release. Jera had a vision of a bright wheel that determines his fate, becoming a plastic bag that will allow him to fly, while receiving his second injection. Vera emerges and attempts to show that Jera is an outsider primate who doesn't belong in society, but no one finds her argument convincing because of his soft thoughts, which remind him of the vision he had of Rada and himself at the conclusion of Titanic. Vera offers to release Jera so that someone may accept accountability for him and his future deeds. Rada agrees to do so and swears an apple. Vera does not want to lose the seed production. Jera attempts to take advantage of the opportunity to engage in conversation with her, but after all this chaos, Rada decides to go. Before they eventually start working, Rada returns a little while later and gives Jera a kiss. But as soon as they're finished, Rada heads to the restroom to use a toy to wrap things up. Jera attempts to follow her and express her regret for disappointing her, but then she abruptly wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. Rada and Elena arrive to clarify a few things as Jera attempts to comprehend every equipment in the property. He has 300 social points attached to his ring. If he disobeys, he will forfeit points, and if he has 0, he will face consequences. Jera instantly loses 13 points for using profanity and not eating his food. Together, Rada and Jera go for the day and stroll through the colony, where Jera continues to face prejudice due to her primate status. They eventually join a volleyball match, but because Jera is a competitive person and this isn't common around here, the girls start fighting. Elena, meantime, makes the decision to run for colony leader in the next election and begins by purchasing the votes of the seed keepers. She showers them with presents and vows to legalize sex if she prevails, displaying her chest as proof. Yuli discovers a note from Jera in the slums, explaining that he fled with Rada. Yuli gets drunk and smashes a table out of anger. He breaks a strange lock he discovers while messing about in Baron's office in order to get the ring Baron used to talk to Vera. All heads to Yuli for help as the electricity unexpectedly goes out. After discovering that Baron has contacts in the city, he tries calling Vera and chats with her, but she hangs up on him nearly immediately. At that moment, a bee flies by, and Yuli follows it immediately to find the beehive. Julius takes the hive down to fill a jar because honey is hard to come by these days. However, in the process, the bees sting him many times. He sees Vera in the evening and gives her the honey, but instead of electricity, he asks to be taken back to Two Hills. Baron and Crysta find a car and a skeleton with a rifle while looking for food nearby. After that, they repair the electricity and go back to the slums, where the pistol gives them power again. Baron tries to stop the squirrels with his rifle as they come over to pick up a fight, but they have stronger weaponry and aren't afraid. Baron gives them Crysta in order to force them to depart. As part of her strategy, Elena has Jera assist in the hatching of a dead bird's eggs in order to boost his standing among the local ladies. Everyone gets a ring message at that precise moment asking them to check the news. When the gang does so, they find Yuli lamenting the way men live and accusing Jera of getting lost at work. When Jera attempts to tell the women the truth, they don't accept him and leave him. After that, Vera welcomes Yuli back and designates Rada as his caregiver till he regains his health. He admits that he lied and that he just said such things because Vera forced him to while Rada tends to Yuli. Reluctantly, Yuli accepts when Rada says that Elena can assist him if he continues to be honest. Jera shows in to confront Yuli about his falsehoods after Rada has left, but he is compelled to stop because all of his swearing lowers his social standing. Yuli simply walks away, and Jera becomes upset and smashes an apple. Afterwards, Jera is shocked to discover the councilwomen waiting when he gets back to his flat with Rada and Elena. They have come to accuse Jera of blasphemy because they say she destroyed an apple, a symbol of their civilization. For maximum visibility, the footage is even broadcast on national television. Jera is accused of harassment after losing 100 social points from his wallet, thus, more points are lost until his wallet is empty. Jera is about to be expelled from the council until he suddenly receives a point from an unidentified contribution. As soon as the chicks hatch, several ladies begin to donate points in appreciation for his assistance. The council is forced to resign. Later, Jera tries to flirt with Rada by dressing nicely, even giving her a point for her attractiveness. But Rada loses it and rants at him, accusing him of putting her in danger every time. She asks him to leave her as her rage increases and walks away. Feeling hurt by this, Jera leaves a message at Rada's door and heads to the colony's boundaries, where he waits for the guard to come around for hugs before stealing her gadget. After that, he breaks through the barrier and flees the colony, prompting the guard to promptly sound her whistle and deploy a drone to pursue him. Jera was struck by an incoming car while keeping a watch on the drone, which leaves him hospitalized. Rada discovers the letter at her residence, in which Jera apologizes and bids her farewell. Vera urges Baron to send his soldiers to attack Two Hills in the meanwhile. The next day, once Jera has recovered and is released from the hospital, Rada and Elena take him to Vera's motherhood function, where the next lady to be inseminated will be selected. Rada acknowledges that she wants to be a mother when Jera and Elena ask her. Vera dares Elena to play every game at the event as part of her campaign preparations, but her strategy backfires when Elena beats her each and every time. While this is going on, Rada and Ia visit Zoya's hidden theater, where she is showing a pornographic film that depicts how actual people once became pregnant. The woman appears to be in agony, and Rada is appalled as she swiftly leaves. She then runs across Jera, who offers to have a kid naturally rather than waiting to be selected through a lottery. Ia finds the notion appealing and begs Jera to do the task on her, despite Rada's disapproval. Looking to Rada for approval, Jera decides to do it with Ia later as she gives him license to do everything he wants. When the lottery winners are announced, everyone assembles, and Rada is shocked to learn that she has won. Concurrently, Ia brings Jera to her apartment and attempts to mimic what she saw in the films. However, Jera finds it offensive and departs. He makes the decision to go back to the event where Radha is speaking, but as soon as she notices him, she stops herself. Radha declines the lottery prize after realizing how Jera feels and approaches her. Unexpectedly, Baron and his guys break inside the ancient automobile. They take Radha hostage right soon and start destroying everything in their quest for additional women to breed with. This causes chaos and forces all the women to flee. When Baron checks for his money after he has Radha and Elena, he discovers an empty box. When he contacts Vera to ask why, she tells him he knows too much and that he has to go. One of the lads detonates a milk container to divert Vera's guards from the gang as they are being surrounded and armed. Baron holds Elena at gunpoint while the gang and Radha flee, using her as a shield to help him get away as well. Inside the Mother Center, where all the seed is stored, they hide. Baron wants to offer Elena a gift for saving her life, but Elena tells him Vera would be content to lose the match. As they are now imprisoned, a vengeful Baron begins to accuse Vera of being the cause of everything. When he hears this, Elena offers to take him out in exchange for him telling the authorities the truth about Vera. He accepts. Subsequently, Baron and Elena depart the premises carrying the box that has all of the seed capsules. Baron breaks some of the capsules to keep the guards away when they try to stop them, which allows him to escape. Returning to Baron's men, they seize Zoya and force her to accompany them to her home, where they beg for food and let go of her. Taking a crossbow out of her drawer, Zoya points it at them but ends up becoming friends with them since she too wants to fight for equality. Meanwhile, Jera saves Radha from being nearly captured by a gang member, and the two of them flee inside a home. Nevertheless, as Radha and Elena are not allowed to enjoy any colony perks, the house AI defies her directives. The two assume Jera is responsible for the attack after seeing that Vera is blaming Jera for everything when they watch the TV. They want to flee once more, but the home won't let them through the door. In the end, Jera and Radha embrace with a kiss. They just ignore the home AI's requests for them to cease. When Radha learns that the system is being forced to reset itself due to confusion caused by the revolt, she takes advantage of the opportunity to register as a new colony member. At this point, the house yields and lets them out via the door. As Baron informs Elena of all the illicit activities Vera has engaged in, Zoya and her new gang burst into Vera's house and attempt to assault her. But Yuli intervenes to defend her, wrapping all the boys in a matter of seconds to ensure their detention. Elena and Baron are soon discovered by a horde of security guards, but happily, Jera and Radha in the old car also locate them. Once all the capsules have been dropped, a vengeful Baron pulls Jera outside and beats him for causing this entire catastrophe before he escapes in the automobile. Fearing about Jera, Radha tries to wrestle control of the wheel from him, which throws the car off the road and into a muddy river. With the exception of Jera, the entire group is caught right away. Vera celebrates by acting naughty around Yuli, and the inmates are sentenced to clean the Pacific Ocean. After then, news broadcasts announce that all of the seeds have been destroyed, which breaks the heart of Lucius, the seed keeper. He is abruptly surprised by Jera and accuses her of betraying him, but Jera persuades him to assist after revealing the truth to him regarding Vera and Baron. Subsequently, Lucius admits he owns a bicycle, and Jera informs him about the obstacle. Together, they cycle incredibly quickly, reaching an impressive 80 kilometers per hour and successfully crossing the barrier around the colony. Jera and Lucius meet with Jera's grandfather the following day to begin formulating a strategy. Calling a buddy who keeps seeds, Lucius finds out about the punishment in the Pacific Ocean. When Jera discovers that his grandfather has a college photo with Zoya, he becomes extremely delighted to learn that she is still alive and pulls out a laptop to find out where she is. Vera discloses that the inmates' true punishment will be forced labor as slaves at the apple orchard where they are being taken while still in custody. Yuli, Jera, and his grandpa arrive in the orchard soon after, but a barrier is separating them. They then see the arrival of the squirrels, who are permitted in since they bring additional slaves, such as Krissa, for Vera's schemes. Telling Baron he's happy to be here since it's better than the slums, Krissa lies to him. Baron hides in the garbage after he also suggests that utilizing the trash cans as a means of escape. They come to a halt in the middle of the road upon discovering Jera posing as an inebriated vagrant. They apprehend him right away and bring him to Katya, who takes Jera in as one of his rascally pets. Later, as Katya visits Vera in the orchard with all of his dogs, the dogs are chained outside while the women have dinner. After noticing Radha, Jera offers her Lucius ring so she can document the crimes committed here. Radha goes into Vera and Katya's tent in the evening as they are having a romantic moment with the dogs and attempts to videotape everything. But Yuli interrupts the celebration when she notices Jera's tattoo. When Vera pulls him away out of disgust, the curtains open to show Radha as well. The guards brought them both outside right away and took the ring, only to find that some of the party's photos had made it to the colony. Vera is forced to return and take care of the damage. As Ia shows the other ladies in the colony the images that were leaked of Vera and Claudia, Vera interrupts her and claims they are not real. In an attempt to prove they are speaking the truth, Vera and Ia begin chewing into an apple, so the Supreme Mother chooses to look into the matter before taking any more action. The Supreme Mother still wants to look into the land surrounding the colony, but Vera needs to run to her office right now to destroy everything she keeps concealed from the party. Vera is forced to give the order to burn down the orchid, as an employee removes the garbage cans to be emptied. Chris's falsehood unintentionally comes true, and Baron escapes. He leaps from the can and dashes through the trees, running into Julius and Jera's grandfather. When Zoya sees that Yulia is interested in Radha at the orchard, she persuades her to make small talk with him. After falling for it, Yuli leads Radha to his tent and tells her that Vera has given the order to set the orchard on fire. Jera knocks him out at that very moment, and the squirrels discover her at the same instant. As the group prepares to punish Jera and Radha, the garbage truck pulls up and the Baron steps out brandishing a gun. When he shoots a squirrel, the others flee in terror, allowing the hostages to break free. Vera pushes a button out of the blue, and the entire orchard explodes in a flash. Vera is chosen to take over as the colony's new leader after some time. She discovers she's been detained and linked to the mind machine when an advertising breaks up her joy during the ceremony. She was apprehended as soon as she walked into Vera's office by the Supreme Mother, who never trusted her. The inmates have successfully fled, Elena is chosen as the new leader, Jera and Radha finally have their first time together, and the button was never pressed.